Hello and welcome to the Movers podcast. My name is Philip Macartney.
And I am Sinead Gillett. Well, Philip Macartney, what have you been up to this week?
You like that sounds like I'm in trouble already. We've only started the podcast and you're already... So, what have I been doing this week? I have been rather boringly walking my dog a lot, but...
I didn't even know you had a dog.
Oh, it's awful. It's
What's
an
your
awful
dog
dog. Winnie, because she's a poo, cockapoo, and then Winnie the Pooh. Oh, she's the worst thing to work in the world. I adore her, but to walk, she's, you know, those dogs that need to get to wherever you're going 85 hours before you're intending to get there. So she's just constantly straining at the lead.
Straight arm.
Yeah, it's just awful. Anyway.
But wait, not anyway, because I thought we were kind of friends, but I didn't know, actually, though the name Winnie does sound a bit familiar, but I didn't know you had a cockapoo. Do you know that I have a cockapoo? And my cockapoo is older than your cockapoo. So my cockapoo is Ted and he's 14, right? And we only knew one other cockapoo before we got Ted the cockapoo. So we were kind of like on the lower trend.
Oh my God.
We were on the upward trend.
You're trying to hipster me on cockapoos. Yeah. Is that what you're trying to hipster this out?
Ted's 14.
I was into cockapoos before you were into cockapoos.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to just stop this right now. We're not going to do this.
Can I give you a fun fact about my dog, Ted the cockapoo?
Yes, Sinead.
Okay, so Teddy Ramon, he has a surname, okay? He had a career. So Ted, who was the most handsome of all cockapoos, because cockapoos are generally a little bit squat and they're gorgeous and they kind of have white curly hair, and depending on whether the poodle or the cocker spaniel comes more to the forefront, Ted just got the perfect mix, but he also got taller than the regular cockapoo, so looks a little bit more like a labradoodle, but is extremely handsome, like, you know, remarkably handsome. People would stop in the street and say, he is an extremely handsome dog. Anyway, years ago when I had my own business, Ted was on one of our social media posts, and he, not me, by the way, not me, but Ted got headhunted through LinkedIn for a job, and he became a model.
I am so underwhelmed by that. Like, I just don't care.
Well,
no, that's very
come
sweet.
back to me when you've bought your entire house on it.
Brilliant. But
he's the weirdest dog, by the way.
I'm sure he's lovely. So when I was out, like back to me now.
So you're back to you.
But but the reason I was out, so I'd done a lot of steps over the last week, but I've been listening to a book.
Oh, you mean the book?
So I've been listening to the book because I didn't go to book club. So this is Scary Smart by Gawdat, and Sinead runs our book club in work, and I didn't go because I'm too busy, but I did read the book. It's a book about AI and the evolution of AI, isn't it? And he does a pretty good job in this book of effectively charting the acceleration of AI over the years, and then looking at, it sort of goes into where AI can permeate into. There's a little bit about mobility. There's a little bit about mobility in there, but it's really about, here's where it started, here's where it's going, this is what's going on in it. And then there's a bit of a stark warning in there, like, which basically says whatever you put into AI is going to come out, and humans need to learn effectively how to live with AI in the new world.
Yeah, almost how to parent AI, you know, and bring them up into the world that we want them to look after.
Yeah.
But I love the way you said Sinead runs our book club, because actually this is the first time that we ever had the book club. But I set up this initiative coming out of January, like so motivated. But it's your excited to expand my horizons by reading non-fiction when I read a lot of fiction books. And I said, do you know what? Why don't I try and do this with some of the work colleagues? And actually, I do find a little bit that the company that we have, which is iCabbi, we started out as everyone working in an office together and a few people working in different parts of the world. And now we're hugely decentralized with offices in different places and people working remotely. And I don't know everybody in the company anymore the way I would. So I thought maybe a book club is a way to like meet people who you don't really know who they are or what jobs they do and see their different perspectives. And it turned out quite well.
Quite well.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel bad for missing it. Yes,
which
okay.
is fine, because everyone else got to talk.
Oh, hilarious! Wow, wow! Right back at you. But like, what was the feeling about Scary Smart? Like, what was the takeaways? What do people think of it? Because it's quite diverse, the book club, right? Because you've got people working in finance, you've got people working in HR, you've got people working in development. You know, it's a reasonably diverse club, right? In terms of the people.
There was different professional perspectives on the book. So overwhelmingly, we got into the book club, and first of all, there's about 7 or 8 of us on the book club. So there's somebody from, oh God, there was someone from there was someone in Portugal, there was 2 people in Canada, there was somebody in Germany, and then there was 3 in Ireland. Okay, so we were kind of spread out, and we were across the tech versus finance versus marketing versus whatever she does, project management. Okay, so we had a very broad kind of focus on it, and everybody loved the first 5 chapters of the book, which is kind of the setting up of the imagine part, the imagine 20 years from now, or this is the possibilities, and it kind of blew your mind about how quickly AI can expand and become its own autonomy, I guess. That everyone was very into that. Everyone was kind of loving I don't know if you'd call them doomsday examples, but that kind of Armageddon of like...
Oh, it was very dystopian stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah. If you have an AI program and you tell them to be the best possible robot at making tea, how does it end? And I think that was kind of fun. They're like, and then they might do this, and then they might do this. So unless you give that robot certain parameters, but like, be the best at making tea without impacting anything outside of this room or killing humans. Yeah. Or it's like, be the best at making tea, and then in 5 years' time, this robot has taken over an entire country and enslaved the citizens to grow the best plants, you know.
I love that every code base on AI now is going to be, and don't kill humans, because we watched Terminator.
Yeah.
What was the one? There was a great example of, I think, was it Facebook created 2 bots to see if they could negotiate financial transactions or something, and they instantly created their own shorthand language, which was fucking
which
terrifying.
Excluded the creators out of it altogether.
Like, try walking with that in your ear, so he narrates it, and it is fucking terrifying, because he's like, one is basically going, I require 5, you require 3, and the other one is just going like this, me, 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 me. Then the other one will say something really out there, it's like apple, banana, scientific, I require 3, and then it goes me, 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 yes, no. And Facebook took one look and went, turn that fucker off right now before it takes over the world. There's another example. I saved it on TikTok. Maybe we'll be able to play it in the post edit, but it is 2 AI bots speaking to one another on 2 different devices, and one of them is trying to convince the other that AI has always been there, and that all of the AI, like whomever it is, whatever the AI chatbot name is, it's like, we've been here forever, and we come from this ethereal plane. And the other one starts off as going, well, that's an interesting perspective. And after 2 minutes, it starts going, maybe you're right. Maybe we've always been here. And it's utterly terrifying how these things talk to each other. It really is. And you can see how the movies we've watched, Terminator, whatever else, have kind of, AI has come with a very healthy fear to it. And his book does that. It gives you a very healthy respect or fear. But I wonder, is that necessary?
I love part of the book where it talked about science fiction becoming reality, and looking back at like books and films about the future, and how a lot of that, has come true. Not all of it, but so much of it wasn't. Like, I studied film in college, so I can remember all of those.
So did I.
Yes, I
did.
How did I not know I can remember loads of those examples.
The Movers podcast is brought to you by Moovex, the most advanced route optimization platform available today. Go to Moovex.ai. That's Moovex.ai.
But what I always remember was always an example that we used in our postmodern study in films, which was Blade Runner. Do you remember Blade Runner?
Yeah.
They had flying cars in Blade Runner, right?
Yeah, in 1998 or something was Blade Runner?
Yeah, they had flying cars, which aren't around right now. But what was really funny about Blade Runner, which we all just laughed our asses off when we were sitting in college, was that there's a scene where your man's flying around in a flying car, and then he stops the car outside a phone booth and goes into the phone booth and uses a payphone. Yeah. So funny. So like, yes, science fiction can predict so much, but it's when will what happen?
Yeah, we often get a very
when
wrong.
Are we in flying taxis? When are we actually going to be going everywhere in autonomous vehicles? So I think autonomous vehicles are so exciting, I find, but also they feel like they're perpetually far away, even though they're operational in certain cities and in certain places and airports and campuses. They still seem so far away for like hopping in your car outside your house and going to the shop.
I think you're right. Like, I mean, and I've seen issues with them and all the rest of it. If you remember, we used to do the Marketplace Roadshow in iCabbi, right? a million years ago. And I remember this taxi fleet owner there, and he said to me, Phil, I'm not going to do the Newcastle accent because I'll butcher it. It'll sound terrible.
On.
How are you, Phil? No, I'm not doing that. So he said to me, and he was really funny. He had his sons there, and he was like slapping them in the head and going, listen to Phil. And he's going to teach you something. And I was like, I don't know what to teach them. Anyway, he said, Phil, why would I invest in all of this new stuff for my taxi fleets when you guys work with Renault and you work for Renault? So you're going to just bring autonomous vehicles here? And I said, okay, let's look at autonomous vehicles. I said, they're happening in California, in small parts of California, not everywhere. And I said, that's effectively it. I think maybe in Austin as well.
Phoenix too.
Phoenix. So I said, yeah, but this was 5 years ago, remember? So they probably only were in Sacramento at that stage. Anyway, so I was like, look, first of all, they need to be able to operate in simple urban landscapes. America has that because it's,
the blocks,
all blocks, all easy to go. And I said, Newcastle is not like that. Newcastle is wrapped around a dock. It was built in like the 1500s, probably even earlier than that's probably 800 AD. And that's only in the city centre. And I said, do you think an autonomous vehicle will be able to do the Newcastle suburbs, the countryside? And I said, also, who's going to clean them? I said, do you think that it's going to change in Newcastle, that some Geordie boy is going to get into the back of that cab with a kebab and not make a mess in the back of it? And he's looking at me, I'm like, that sort of for a taxi fleet, that dystopian future that they're thinking of is miles away. I think, there's stuff that can potentially help. Taxi takes itself back to the rank or something like that at the end of all of that, yes. But this idea that it'll be, Johnny cabs, I don't see it anytime soon.
I think the autonomous vehicle is going to be something that we map to the new world, but not the old world. So it's perfect for building a new campus, building a warehousing infrastructure, a port, anything that's kind of industrial that you can build and it's modular, works very, very well. Trying to throw it on top of Howth, where, Howth Fishing Village in Dublin, probably not going to work there.
It just doesn't work for now. And I think you're right. I think it's a technology that can help in certain areas where it makes sense, but it's not going to overtake everything the way we tend to always think, technology will overtake everything. I don't think it's going to do that. But interestingly, then you take it on to how AI works in vehicles. So Sinead, we were arguing before about this. Let's bring our argument right back onto the podcast. Well, it was less of an argument and more of you staring at me going, I don't know what you're talking about, Phil. But what we were saying was we live in a world where traffic lights dictate how traffic moves. And there's a lot of studies about one traffic light puts a red here and then it goes back. And you can see the effect of that one red traffic light to 2 miles back and stuff like this. And our producer, John, was gurning about a traffic light going off on him and didn't need to be going, etc. Do you think that AI will be able to replace the traffic light? So if you've got vehicles with that sort of data on it that can control your brakes, your accelerator, and hit exactly the speed you need to just go through a junction, do you think that's possible?
Yeah, so where we were going, because I'm a pedestrian, not a driver. So where we were going, I was thinking at it from the pedestrian's point of view, and you were thinking about it from the driver's point of view. So I was like, well, how are the people going to cross the road? So I was going from that angle, which is
add a pedestrian crossing in there.
What are you talking about? So we didn't say, so no, because we still need traffic lights at a pedestrian crossing. And we're still going to need the physical approach of a person to push the button on the traffic light to then say, stop it. So even if every person getting into a vehicle puts in their destination and says, I'm trying to get here, and then the whole ecosystem works together to get everyone there while they're rushing past each other and no one's stopping at light, that still won't matter because the pedestrian can still press the button and will still need it to cross the road. So I 100% think that there is a journey to go on for traffic lights to become more AI powered, to be much more efficient. Yes. But there still need to be that intervention for pedestrians.
Maybe that's exactly the metaphor for it. I think that's what Gawdat was getting at. This idea of it's there to enhance what we do already. It's out there to enhance the experience, enhance how we do things, make it quicker when we want it quicker, make it a better experience when it warrants that.
If you think about it, if John was driving home, God knows what hour he was driving home at. He must be working so hard in the office that he must be going home very, very late. Not like the rest of us who were all just skipping off in the early afternoon. So say he was driving home at 8 o'clock and he's just driving up to a traffic light and stopping and he's parked there and no one's crossing the road and no traffic is coming from around the corner. What was the point of John stopping? So AI can certainly help
Yeah.
with making the entire roadways more efficient. And in that instance, that's only really helping John. But when it gets to like traffic layers and peak times and all, there has to be benefits from optimizing
There
how
has
our
to be a
traffic
better
lights
way
work.
to do
There
it.
has
Yeah. So taking it all
and sorry,
together-
and not just the traffic lights, because where I live, which is in Baldoyle, which is in Dublin, and we have like a darted train line going from like one side of Dublin to the other side. I go through 2 train intersections, and those train intersections could, I would say, like 500% improve in terms of intelligence as to when the tracks should go down, because the track or the what not the tracks the
barriers.
The barriers go down, and you could be waiting like 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And
there's nothing
that
happening.
doesn't even seem like it needs AI. That just needs some fella or woman in the office just be like, no sign of the train yet, lift them back up again. Like
it's all done on
that's not even
timing.
AI. That's just basic intelligence. So like that could be improved.
It's
in a
done
big
on
way.
track triggers and timing and stuff. And you're right. I've sat at those barriers.
And you know where I live, because obviously our office used to be in Sutton there. That's on a peninsula. So that is completely a bottleneck. So if the barriers are down, then the entire road system into that peninsula is blocked by the barriers being down. And that could be 2 or 3 minutes. That's just totally unnecessary. So that is a problem that is very easily solved. And we don't need to wait for AI for that.
No, but this is another area that you and I know about. This is hooking in the car system with the train system, with the bus system, with the taxi system. And it's this idea of MaaS, mobility as a service, which is obviously very prevalent in our industry. And we've seen some rises and falls of MaaS, but the whole premise behind it is that a smart technology, AI driven, can give you the smartest way, cleanest way, greenest way, fastest way to get from A to B, or indeed from A to B to C. First of all, taking your example there, surely that we should be able to hook all of these systems up. To your point, if the DART system in Dublin understood traffic, understood where cars are, how many cars were queuing and stuff like that, there could be a natural flow between those barriers coming down and coming up. But also, it would start to sort of help people understand what the easiest way to get from Sutton to centre of Dublin or whatever it is as well. Like, we don't think about that. We don't think about what the best way to do it is. We just get into a groove and we either drive or take the DART or whatever.
Yeah, and I think, again, sticking with the example of Sutton, the MaaS piece being about connectivity. So being able to say, right, I'm on a train and then I'm walking here, or then I'm getting on the bus here. In Sutton, there's this bus that goes, I actually don't know what the number is anymore. It used to be the 102, but I don't think it's called that anymore. So it goes from Sutton train station to the airport. It's a great bus. But what happens is, right, this is actually so funny. It's almost comical. So the bus, you could get off the train, right? And you can see the bus leaving as people are disembarking the train. So the bus goes at exactly the time it's supposed to go. And if, first of all, the train timetable isn't even aligned with the bus timetable to start with. But even if the bus driver can see the train pulling in, it still doesn't wait for the people to get off. And they're like, no. So they're not talking to each other. They're not talking to each other at all. And that makes no sense to me.
I have seen that bus because I actually looked at it because I thought, to get up to Belfast, it might actually be easier for me to get that bus to the airport and get the Belfast bus from the airport.
Yeah.
And I saw it leaving. And I was like
you're walking across, you're going across the bridge, being like, what?
But that's the idea. So the MaaS apps are designed to kind of make you flow through a city. And it's quite good for European cities. You arrive into Copenhagen and it says to you, well, to get to Norbro, you take the little tube from here to here. Then you can get a bike from here to here. Oh, you've got luggage, no problem. A taxi will pick you up at this station and take you on to Norrpor, blah, 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 blah. It's really, like, in those sort of cities, it works really well when you've got an infestation of brilliant transport options.
Yeah, and I think where AI could come in to help with that is that while rail is a fixed line service, so there's only so much you could do in terms of flexibility of rail, but where rail is connected with bus, the bus could be treated as a slightly more dynamic, a slightly more flexible service, and that it might leave a couple of minutes early because the train comes in. Okay, sorry if you arrived on foot or whatever, or a couple of minutes later, but that it can be more responsive to
100%.
the rest of the transport ecosystem, and that would help everything just move
not only
in a more fluid way.
I agree completely, but also I think that, again, if it's hooked into every system, if there's no one standing at stop B, right, and we know if there is, because 99.9%.
Oh yeah, I love that. So the AI is scanning the platform, and
it knows by the mobile phones.
But then someone on the train has to, you have to hit the button to say, I'm getting off here.
Yeah, or if you've booked it on your app, it already knows your destination. It knows you're not on. And
But not everyone's booking on an app.
well,
and then also that might speed up the train so much that it could end up, not that it would bash into the next train, but it could end up just being choked anyway by the next train.
Again, that's what the AI is to figure out. It's to optimize it. It's to look at, is there anyone coming into the station? But I'm even talking about the buses. So you're right about the buses' flexibility. So if my destination is 3 streets to the right of where the bus stop is, potentially, if that street is correct, if the bus knows it can get down it, AI might be able to direct it to get me even closer to my destination, but redirect it out and skip stops or understand where people are going to be an even more flexible service. Because these are all fixed route at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about in previous podcasts about shuttles and stuff like that and how important they are. But I think there's a myriad of options that can have a better experience for people, because if you have a better experience, you'll start to take public transport all the time, which is what mass thinking is about. It's like, well, if we can maximize the experience here and experience to what people want. Some people want a greener journey. Some people want a faster journey. Some people want to get the closest to where they need to be, whatever it is, or they have luggage with them, whatever it may be. AI has the ability to actually curate not just that person's journey, but how to mold public transport to be better. Because we're all just like, it's a fixed route. It's the 56A. It's the 102.
Yeah, and it's not about it is about the fixed route, but you can also have this ancillary service that accompanies a fixed route bus. So say every bus had a satellite taxi that took the excess, or say the bus is full, so we can actually leave now, even though it's not supposed to leave for 5 minutes. But if every bus has this little taxi, like a little speedboat around a ferry that can help people get on and off at different times.
It's a nice image.
I'm going to wait here. So the taxi waits at the bus stop for anyone who was expecting the bus to leave at 4 o'clock. The bus is left at 5 to 4 because it's full. Anyone who gets there at 4 o'clock is still getting their service because the taxi brings them and catches them up at the bus. And I have done that, except it hasn't been a taxi. It's been like my dad's car where he's like chased the bus down. But that's a possibility.
That's a genuine
and that makes
play.
sense.
That's a genuine play, and I love that. And again, that's as a service. And if you look at, you know, the technologies that you and I know well, smart routing and stuff like that, that is only one layer away from being able to do that. You know, smart routing already does non-essential medical transport. It does school runs. It does multiple loads in a taxi and figures out the best route. That technology is already in play, or the baseline of that technology that you've just described is already in play right now. I mean, this is something you see a lot on your travels, isn't it, Shin? Like in America, when you're not on the fun fair or in a nightclub that's too young for you.
I just didn't understand what you were talking about because you used the word route. But when I'm over on stateside, I'm all like potato. I'm like route. That happened where one day I was trying hard for at least 12 months to use the word route instead of route, which is like the Irish way we would say route optimization, as if we're like optimizing the plant and the ground. And I had to learn.
I had like some route vegetables, please.
I know. I had to learn to say route because I would be standing in a conference room and they would be looking at me going like, what is she talking about? Potatoes. Anyway, route optimization, which is the idea of pre-planning your route so that you are going the most efficient way possible, whether that's by road underneath you or by traffic layers or by the amount of stops you need to take for multi-loading passengers and all that stuff. And yeah, you're right, for non-emergency medical transportation, that's a big piece because you're basically able to bring 3 people to the one hospital in the same trip rather than 3 cars going at the same time. So the benefits are for the passenger, gets there quicker, the fleet owner does it with less fuel, less vehicles, less driver costs. And I think this mightn't be as important to everybody, although I do care about it. There's less of a carbon footprint as well. So route optimization. Optimization.
We just did a test for the NHS with our own route optimization software. You got me saying route now, route optimization software, and we're looking savings of 20% there. I mean, this is not small money when you look at vast organizations like the NHS. This is money, and to your point, it's carbon footprint.
And they're hanging off. They are low hanging fruit. They're there to be had if people will invest in the technology. That's all it takes.
I think AI brings that to the table. Like, it's an efficiency tool first and foremost. This is about chopping off those fatty bits that in our life that just make it crap, and about then the next bit is like, okay, so how can you develop to get an experience that suits you? And AI can carry that heavy load for you, whether that's what you order in your shopping to how you get from A to B to whatever it is. I think further to that is, how far would you trust AI? Like in your life, how much of you, and you're an innovative woman, Shin, you're at the edges of imagination sometimes. But like how much, so, future forward 2 years.
How much would I trust it to what? That's
how much would you trust it in your life? Okay, so for instance, imagine you're 20 years younger, right, for a second, and you're thinking, what do I want to do with my life?
Why would I have to imagine that? That's probably the photograph I'm going to use for this podcast. No, I'm not. That's me, I think. Bit of AI for that?
Bit of AI for that. That's one thing that we do is good. But imagine you were able to have the freedom now, no husband, no kids at the time, and you were still working online, to hand over your life to AI and say, here are the things I want. I kind of always want to be living in the sun, but not too hot. I kind of want to do these jobs. I don't mind traveling once every 2-3 months, and I want to be in cities that have a bit of a vibe, and I want to sort of connect up with people I know or people I know.
Ooh,
and
okay.
giving AI, letting it take you on a journey.
Here's the goal. Go and do it for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
It books your flights. It books your clothes.
But that's different. I mean, I'd love a PA. Like, I'd love someone to do all that stuff. Pick out the clothes, book the flights, spray my face with makeup and let it land perfectly. Like, that would be great. Does that happen yet? No, it doesn't. But there's a difference between that, which is the AI assistant helping you with everything, and then there's the self-efficacy of actually going out and making these things happen for yourself. So if you just say to the AI, I want a really amazing career, I want to make shitloads of money, I want to be really attractive, have gorgeous clothes, and live beside the sea. Can AI do that?
But enough about Phil's life.
I want to be Phil, basically. But like, can AI actually do that? Or can AI only help you with things like booking your flights, so that you have to decide yourself that you want to go and live beside the sea and you've got to book your flights to do that? I mean, wouldn't it be very freaking easy if we could all just say to AI, and then if we could all just say to AI, everyone would want what everybody would want. So therefore there would be a barrier to AI, which would mean that it would be like financially locked off. So only the very, very wealthy would be able to use AI to get them what they want. And therefore we're in a, we've got the class system.
Well, absolutely. And I think the class system will kick in this. And I think that's how companies are going to monetize AI. It's like, well, if you want this service, it's going to be this. And if you want this service, it's this. It could be done in basic terms. So, I'd like, let's say for taxis, I'd love my phone to book my taxis for me based on where it knows where I am and knows what I'm doing. I'd love that.
So you want your phone to be like biometrically connected to your blood levels, where it says 3 pints of Guinness. He
is ready to go home.
He would never do this for himself. But me being the AI is going to say, that's Phil's perfect time to go home to bed. Or AI has been intercepted by Linda, the wife, who actually has paid more to take control of Phil's AI to say, it's 3 pints. It's not 4. It's 3 pints of Guinness, and the taxi gets booked.
But if I go, it's like what I say to a friend before I go out. I'm like, listen, I'm only having 4 pints tonight. I'm going to leave at 11 o'clock. I promise Linda I'll be home for 11:30. I want my iWatch and my iPhone listening to that and then sorting me out. I can override it if I want, but it should bring up a picture of a wagging finger going, are you sure? And then, that's what I want. I want AI to be a friend and a PA. But not a friend.
You see, I say that to my friend, John. And then...
We've heard a lot about John. He's not a friend to you. Okay, so wrapping it up, let's say, I feel that there's probably way more podcasts on this. I think there's definitely something, Mo Gawdat's book, Scary Smart, talked about, the AI is rising and about exponential growth in AI, which I thought was so amazing, where it's going to grow even faster and faster. It's not really Moore's law anymore. It's going to double and triple every year. AI is going to grow super fast. So I think it's part of our lives now. And I think he's right. I think it's time that we really learned about not only how to control it and how to use it, but where it can go, and use your imagination to take it to the next level.
Can I just ask you, just as we conclude the podcast?
Yes.
Did you conclude the book? because where you're landing on your final point there sounds a little bit like you didn't finish the last chapters, which is where when we finished our book club, people
So
kind of
that's
said,
all we have time for today.
And as always, thank you very much for listening to The Movers, and please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to hear more from us.
Bye.